Full-time abuser and part-time singer Chris Brown has just sold out in one of the most GBV-ravaged countries in the world. It is more dangerous to be a woman in South Africa than nearly any other place in the world that is not an active war zone. The scourge of gender-based violence is a great pandemic. And so we have to talk about that. We have to talk about what it means. We have to talk about whether or not we should care. We have to talk about all the men and women going to this concert and absolutely twirling for Chris Brown. And because it's happening in South Africa, we need to talk about what message this sends to victims of abuse, what it says maybe about our ravaged country, our GBV-ravaged country. This is Weekend Special. My name is Dan Corder. South Africa is a movie. Welcome to the watch party. And just quickly before we get into this, thank you so much to all of you who have been supporting and listening to our weekday news podcast, Dan Corder in the Morning. The thousands of people on our WhatsApp line call themselves the recorders. Yeah, we have a WhatsApp line for the podcast, which you can definitely also use if you want to from the YouTube show, 0607613436. And thank you so much to you who tuned into the Dan Corder show on ENCA. Lady Zamar was phenomenal and we had such a wonderful, good, cool show. Let's just be real about Chris Brown. The Rihanna assault back in 2008, 2009 was not the only incident. In fact, a little bit of investigation and self-awareness will show you that Chris Brown has consistently had credible allegations against him of physical assault by multiple victims over many years. In fact, he's had them this year. So what we're not going to do is try and reduce this whole Chris Brown drama to, he did a thing to Rihanna, but she forgave him and it was 15, 16 years ago. We're not going to do that. But we are going to talk about what happened with Rihanna because it shows the kind of person that Chris Brown fundamentally is. Back in 2008-9, around the Grammys, Chris Brown and Rihanna were together and they were traveling, and Chris Brown beat her repeatedly, choked her, bit her, and threatened to kill Rihanna. And we all saw the pictures. And then just a few days later, because then people are going to say, but you know, he showed remorse and he pled guilty to a felony and he did community service and he served time. Before all of that, before the PR machine kicked in to protect him, Chris Brown went to a P. Diddy white party. And at that P. Diddy white party, he wore a $300,000 necklace that he just got, which spelt the word oops. And that's the true reflection of how Chris Brown thought about what he did to Rihanna. He laughed at it. He made a joke of it. He belittled it like it was some kind of accident or mistake or a bump, like it's not a big deal. Like all of the outcry about what he had done to her could be reduced to oops. And since then, there have been many, many other allegations against Chris Brown. And I'm sorry, but after a certain amount of smoke, there just is a fire. And remember that as we've just seen with Diddy, as we saw with Harvey Weinstein, when men are so powerful and so high profile, and there's so many business interests and so much support of them, they have so much clout in all kinds of industries, but particularly the entertainment industry, you can, as a man, and we've seen men do this, bully and silence women and victims who are speaking out against them for what they did to them. Many women over the years have spoken publicly about what P. Diddy did to them, and they were ignored. They were belittled. They were cut out by the media. So what P. Diddy did, it's what Harvey Weinstein did, and exactly the same has been happening with Chris Brown. It's what all these powerful men are able to do. They're able to try and destroy the lives of victims who dare to speak out, delegitimize their claims, make sure that their claims aren't taken seriously. And again, these women, these victims from the last decade and a half since Rihanna are not as powerful as Rihanna. And even Rihanna wasn't safe. And so what chance do they have of trying to speak out against and have successful cases against somebody as powerful as Chris Brown? And now Chris Brown is coming to South Africa. He's sold out FNB Stadium. He's probably going to sell it out again. And all of these South Africans are twirling for this man, men and women. They are twirling for him. And here are some of the things that people are now saying. They're saying, canceling Chris Brown is not going to fight against GBV. Obviously not. No one's trying to say that, if we don't buy tickets to Chris Brown's concert, then we will cancel him and fix GBV in this country. Nobody's claiming that. Don't be absurd. But you're putting money in his pocket. You are redeeming his reputation. He already posted proudly on his Instagram about how he had sold out in Africa's biggest stadium. He's using this for PR, people, to recover his image. He is using you. And the message that you are sending to victims of abuse in a GBV-ravaged nation, when it is so hard for a woman to go to the police because they don't believe. We have so many stories of the police not believing women. And it's so hard to prove abuse because very, very often abuse happens behind closed doors. And so women are already so disincentivized from saying anything. Also, we live in a culture where people ignore abuse all the time for their own peace. It's not just abusers and abusees, it's people who are aware of abuse. Mostly abuse happens in your own family, your own community, your own workplace, and people love to look the other way and choose peace, and that's part of the problem. It allows GBV to continue. It silences those who want to speak out against GBV that they're suffering. This is the message that it sends. And now people are saying, oh, well, why would women and men go to Chris Brown and watch Chris Brown? Like, why would they do that if he was so awful? Because we live in a country where men look past the gender-based violence that they see their friends and family members commit against their wives, partners, women, family members. That women also do look past the GBV. Even abusees need to learn, those who suffer abuse need to learn how to just live with it. And so obviously, if you're already doing that in your own life, you can do it for Chris Brown. You can ignore that. And then people make the argument about like, oh, we've got to separate the art from the artist. It's like we're going for the music, not who he is. Don't be ridiculous. You wouldn't spend hundreds to thousands of rands and go to FNB Stadium on a random night in December to go and watch Chris Brown covers. You wouldn't spend hundreds to thousands of rands to go and have a mass Chris Brown karaoke. You're going because it's him. It's exactly him. It's exactly Chris Brown. And I know that it's really hard to discover that one of your favorite artists who's made music that's been the soundtrack to crucial moments in your life is an awful person. It's hard. It happens to all of us. It's happened to me. It's happened to the fans of Michael Jackson. And you can't then close your eyes and be like, oh, it's not really Chris Brown. It's his music. It's his art. It is fundamentally Chris Brown. So then some people have been trying to say, oh, but like people are being hypocritical, making such a big deal of Chris Brown. What about, those people locally, like local musicians who've done awful things? And I'm like, yeah, we should hold them all accountable equally. That's not a difficult thing to consider. Talking about Chris Brown, because he has had a massive effect on the news cycle. Everyone's talking about it, and so we need to talk about it. But yes, I include all of the other terrible people who have done awful things. And then people say, oh, but if we were to cancel every single rapper, musician, and public figure who's a man who's done awful things, we'd have no music left. One, that's not true. There are good-hearted, decent people who make amazing music and amazing art. Two, you're telling on yourself there because you're giving away what a problem, what a systemic issue abuse in the entertainment industry is. We can't just go, it's just unfixable. We just can't. We're just going to lose all the music. No, you have to change the standards. You need to change the standard to which you hold public figures. And you need to change your moral expectations, your bare minimums about how deeply influential people behave so that there is a chance that there can be reform in the music and entertainment industry. The #MeToo movement was all about this. It was all about this. It faced all of this nonsense. Look, you can live your own life. Everyone's a free person. I'm not advocating that Chris Brown should be banned from South Africa or banned from performing, but it's really important that we don't fog up the issue here. We don't try and make it kind of uncertain and hazy and nebulous. It's important that everybody knows that when you do that thing, you are sending a message as part of a group of people that have sold out FNB Stadium to go and watch Chris Brown. You are sending a message to the people who suffer gender-based violence in this country, the millions of people. You're sending a message to the people who perpetrate gender-based violence. Because now people can think, I can get away with my abuse. Look at how much the country loves, supports, and forgives Chris Brown. That's the message that you're sending. Yeah, that's Weekend Special. Some days it's hard.